Construction walls are up at Avengers Campus, and reports are that Disney is getting ready to install a new gift shop. If true, I believe that this could be a sign of a bigger story, bigger than just a gift shop. This plus news on the upcoming Star Wars month at Disneyland and an update on the layoffs at Disney. For now, let's go to Avengers Campus and Avengers HQ. And when you arrive there, you can see that the Humvee has been removed and there are a set of walls up where there were none before. The walls cover a very small area and are, for the most part, inconsequential. They're not much as far as walls go. These walls are, of course, not the gift shop. This is the gift shop, the actual Avengers HQ building. Reports from other news sites suggest that this is the beginning of Disney finally installing that gift shop that was intended for Avengers HQ from the very beginning. You may recall there was an e-ticket plan. They were discussing this at the outset when they were first building Avengers Campus, and they were going to build it in the backstage areas behind Avengers Headquarters and Mission Breakout. But that e-ticket was canceled during the lockdown, and it's been dormant ever since. And I guess Disney decided since there's no e-ticket being built, they might as well not build the exit through the gift shop style gift shop. Now, if this news is correct, that Disney is building a gift shop, the question that I would ask at this point is why? I mean, everything means something, right? Now, I believe there are three possible scenarios that might encourage Disney to start this process back up again. 1, they have plans for the Hollwyood backlot. 2, the e-ticket is in fact being built. Or 3, Disney may be reversing its position on keeping things in universe at Avengers Campus, and likewise at Galaxy's Edge. And I guess there is still that fourth option, which is often the case, that Disney just decided they want to build a gift shop and its existence is in a vacuum. It has nothing to do with anything else. But even if that is the case, there are effects of this decision. For example, it now makes the Marvel Superstore in the Avengers backlot a little redundant. Not a lot redundant, but at least a little redundant. If they build a proper Marvel gift shop in Avengers Campus, do they really need that Superstore? It's not like they're doing this because they think they're going to sell more merch. Superstore merch plus the new gift shop in Avengers Headquarters plus the Mission Breakout gift shop plus web suppliers. No, I don't think so. I think money spent at the new gift shop in Avengers Headquarters is money that's not spent in one of those other gift shops. So maybe they build the HQ gift shop because they want to close the Marvel Superstore in the backlot. Which, of course, leads to the question, why would they want to close the Marvel Superstore in the backlot? Unless they have plans for the backlot. And they should have plans for the backlot. It's uninspired, it's awkward, vacant. The backlot sucks and is in desperate need of a remodel. A while back, we floated the idea of putting Avatar. We talked about the Avatar experience. We said, they could do it here. They've got the space, a potential space. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, nor do I actually want it to happen because that doesn't fit there. There are better places to put Avatar than in the Hollwyood backlot, but I would absolutely take an Avatar experience in that space instead of the Hollwyood backlot. I have said I would take a vacant dirt lot instead of the backlot. Vacant dirt lot at least has potential. At least it could be something. But to me, the most logical thing is for Marvel to expand into the backlot. Not necessarily Avengers Campus, just make the campus bigger, but just more Marvel. Maybe make it a cityscape for the heroes to adventure in, to solve crimes in. A space separate from Avengers Campus, but more Marvel. And consider this. Recently, Bob Iger said in their quarterly report that his plans for Disney are for them to focus, to leverage their core IP. Leverage those IPs as much as possible because they are the most bankable, the most reliable. He mentioned specifically Toy Story and Frozen, but I'm sure that list also includes properties like Avatar and Star Wars and Marvel. Marvel is bankable, has been for a long time now. Avengers Campus is a success by all measurements. You may or may not like it, but it's a success. It draws more guests and creates more revenue than a Bugs Land ever could on its best day. And it would do the same for the Hollwyood backlot. Now, I'm not saying that that's what Disney's plan is. I'm just saying that if it were, it's logical. It makes sense if that is their plan. If you don't like that possibility, there is the possibility that they are, in fact, going to build or are in the process of starting to build the e-ticket behind Avengers HQ. Not long ago, Disney threw Marvel fans a bone when they said they're going to resurrect the e-ticket. The original concept, the one that looked a lot like Pandora's Flight of Passage, was confirmed to be dead, and I don't mind saying, thank goodness, because I was not a fan of that idea. With the new concept being one centered around Thanos in some sort of alternate reality, alternate universe, a multiverse, if you will, where Thanos won and the Avengers are trying to undo that, I suppose. Story aside, there is a reasonable hope that an e-ticket for Avengers Campus, a new one, is in some kind of future. And the gift shop that they're supposedly building now would be an indicator, the sign, a beginning of that process. And I'll add this, I've heard from cast members that there is, or has been, activity backstage. Right now, the areas where that attraction would be built are for horticulture. They keep, all the plants and whatever else they need for the landscaping in Avengers Campus. All those plants and landscaping have been moved somewhere else. Now, by itself, that doesn't mean anything, but it's a thing to talk about. We're going to have to take Grandpa up onto the Pixar Pal-Around and start taking a look at backstage again and to see if we can find any sort of minor changes to the situation backstage. If we see more stuff moving out, more stuff beginning cleared. It takes a little while, but you can watch that process. We watched that process happen with Galaxy's Edge when little by little they started demoing or removing things from the backstage areas that now contain Galaxy's Edge. Now, the only problem that I have with this theory is that under normal conditions, under normal circumstances, they would build the gift shop at the same time they're building the e-ticket, the attraction. In fact, building that gift shop now doesn't really make any sense at all because we are so far away. We are such a long way off from that e-ticket. I'm guessing maybe 10 years. Do they even we've seen one piece of concept art. I wonder how far along are they in the process? I mean, it would take 4 or 5 years. Tron, it's taken them 5 years to build Tron, and that's a ride they already had built once before, and it's still not open. By the way, we're going to be there next week. We're going to be at the opening of Tron next week. Stay tuned to Fresh Baked for that. Anyway, I don't think it just doesn't make sense for them to build that gift shop now. It does if they just want to build a gift shop, but it doesn't if that's part of a larger extension of the e-ticket back there. If they were going to do that, I don't know. It doesn't work for me. For me, the most logical possibility, aside from it meaning nothing at all, it having no relevance to anything else at all, the most logical possibility is that Disney has decided to move away from Avengers Campus being an in-universe type situation, where Star Wars does not exist in Galaxy's Edge. Star Wars exists in Tomorrowland, but in Galaxy's Edge, you are in the universe. Therefore, it wouldn't be self-referential. The same is the case for Avengers Campus. You are in the Marvel universe. Therefore, Marvel does not exist. Web supplier, sure, Spider-Man, but not Spider-Man, the character from a Marvel show, Spider-Man, the person. Now, you do see Marvel in the Tavon collection at Mission Breakout, but the story there, Disney does this, the story there is that it's possible, it's realistic that the collector would have these items in his Tavon collection because he collects things from all over the galaxy, all over the universe, in multiple parallel universes, one of which could have Marvel. Therefore, he could collect those items and put them in his shop. It is hilarious the way that Disney tries to, think and tie themselves in knots trying to come up with reasons to do these things. Why bother? Why bother? If you have to go that far to sell Marvel merchandise in Tavon, or in Avengers Campus, I mean, why? And perhaps they have grown weary of getting these convoluted reasons for doing these things. Perhaps they've just given up, and rightfully so, because I really don't think anybody cares about the in-universe concept. I really don't. If I walk into web suppliers and I happen to see a Marvel tag on a piece of merchandise in there, I'm not gonna care one bit. But that's the reason why the Marvel Superstore exists, so they can sell Marvel branded merchandise, or more of it anyway, aside from the Tavon collection. So create a new gift shop in Avengers Campus, start selling Marvel merchandise there, and close the Marvel Superstore. And find some other use for Stage 17. But good luck with that, because I don't think they've ever found a good use for Stage 17. By the way, speaking of in-universe, I feel like we've already been spoon-fed that a little bit with Galaxy's Edge and the recent arrival of The Mandalorian and Boba Fett. Is Disney preparing us for legacy characters in Galaxy's Edge? Have they given up on that whole idea there as well? We may find out during Star Wars Month, which is coming up in May. Not just Star Wars Day, Disney is going for the whole month. We're going to have a whole month of Star Wars. They're bringing back Hyperspace Mountain. They've got 4 dates for Star Wars Night coming up, and a whole bunch of Star Wars themed food coming to both Tomorrowland and Galaxy's Edge that's going to be available for the whole month, not just for Star Wars Nights, but for the whole month for all guests. By the way, stay tuned again to Fresh Baked on this because they haven't yet released a foodie guide or any kind of update on what kind of foods they are going to be serving, although I expect them to be great. I really enjoyed the foods last year, and I see no reason why we can't get a repeat performance this year, so stay tuned. Now, aside from the usual Star Wars Day/month festivities, the one thing that I'm going to be paying attention to this year is whether or not we see any legacy characters show up in Galaxy's Edge. And if they do, then that gives more credence to my theory that Disney has moved away from the end-of-universe concept, both in Galaxy's Edge and in Avengers Campus. We would, watch for more on that. Now, it may not be in the upcoming Star Wars month. It may not be everywhere. It's probably just going to be on those Star Wars event nights. Now, we have seen legacy characters in the parks. We saw Darth Sidious last year at Star Wars Night, and just a month ago, Princess Night, we saw Princess Leia. Both legacy characters, but they both appeared only in Tomorrowland. We saw them, plus a lot of Jawas and Ewoks and Tusken Raiders, so we know that they have the costumes. We know that they're prepared to put those characters out in the parks. But are they willing to do it in Galaxy's Edge? We'll be there on May 2nd for the first night of Star Wars Night, and that's one place I'll be, is looking in Galaxy's Edge to see if they show up there. And I hope they do. Timeline be damned, in my opinion. Put Luke or Han Solo by the Millennium Falcon. Heck, you can even put Darth Vader up by Kylo Ren's ship. I promise you, I won't mind one bit. I won't ask the question, how is that possible? And I'd be willing to bet that only a small minority of people would, that the vast majority of guests would just say, thank you for giving us Darth Vader. I don't care where he winds up. I don't care where we see him in Galaxy's Edge. Because here's what I know. Star Wars fans want Star Wars, and those characters are Star Wars. Give them Star Wars. Okay, final thing we'll talk about is Disney and their relationship with their cast. It's not going great. There was, not long ago, a bitter fight between Disney and their Walt Disney World cast and their unions. That did not go well for Disney. The cast asked for a pay increase. Disney said no. Not a counteroffer. They just said no, unless you count no as a counteroffer. Not even a cent did they come back. They stuck with their, you're going to get the same pay you got before. This played out for a bit. Again, not very well in the public, in the social media, etc. Disney took kind of a beating on this, and they eventually lost, and they gave cast that $18 minimum wage. And that is a poor result for Disney. Not poor because they lost and they have to pay the cast more money, but because they gave cast what they asked for to begin with, while also looking like the bad guy. If they had just given them, if they had just given them that $18 an hour minimum from the beginning, they would have looked like heroes. But now they look like not heroes. I don't know what, I want to be kind. They just, it does not look good. If you're going to give them $18 an hour, just do it. Why fight? And this is a part of big business, or at least a part of the way Disney does business that I don't understand. I just don't understand, especially when your business is dependent on your image. That negotiation was a lose-lose for Disney. It's just crazy. I don't understand how that played out. Then there's the news that Disney has been ramping up their efforts to fulfill Bob Iger's promise to cut jobs, to cut 7,000 jobs in the Disney company. We know that the cuts are going to be across all segments of the Disney operation, but we can report that the good news for us, from our perspective, the good news is that it does not look like it's going to affect frontline cast members on the ground in Disney parks. If anything, I feel like they're still short-staffed there. The expectation is that the majority of the cuts are going to be in the entertainment side, and in marketing, things of that nature. Disney Plus and Hulu, for example. In fact, it was recently reported that these cuts will include senior executives. People often ask, why can't you just save a bunch of money and let go of some of those high-paid executives? Well, they are doing just that. Senior President of Production at Hulu, Mark Levinston, and Jane Bieber, a Senior VP at Freeform, are being let go. Then, of course, there was also news that Disney fired Victoria Alonso, Marvel's president of visual effects and animation. Now, I'm not sure if that one is part of the 7,000. I feel like that might be separate from that, the restructuring, as it were. But it's big news anyway. Wondering if Kathleen Kennedy is keeping her head on a swivel over at Lucasfilm. which, by the way, Lucasfilm is it is in complete disarray. That is one of the most dysfunctional operations that I can recall. It breaks my heart because, Star Wars is a literal golden goose. They could just make content forever on Star Wars. Films aren't content. I should rephrase that. Streaming stuff, that's content. But Disney has... That's a whole other conversation. I can't get into it. But maybe there are other channels you can check out for what's happening with Lucasfilm, but it's not great. They're afraid to make a movie right now, in my opinion. They're afraid to make another trilogy. They're okay with the streaming stuff, but they're afraid to make a film. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. That's another conversation. And that is the end of this conversation. That's the end of this news update. Thank you guys very much for watching. We've got some new things to hyper obsess about at Avengers Campus, things that I get to do on top of the Pixar pal around. I'm actually really excited about this. Those are some of my favorite things is to watch and observe and look for signs of the future. I just love it, and I hope you guys do. Stay tuned to Fresh Baked for more, and then follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's Fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. If you like our show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/FreshBaked. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh Baked.